Hi, Lucaro.
Hey, hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for doing this. And second of all, I wanted to make sure that you're okay with this being recorded.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, that's great. Well, recently you had a formal evaluation with one of our administrators,
Yes.
and you went through that whole process of the pre-evaluation and then the actual evaluation in your classroom.
Yes.
And then, but what I wanted to focus on today was your post-evaluation interview and how you felt about that. And first of all, meeting with the administrator and some of the questions she asked, what your feedback was. So how was that meeting? How did you feel about meeting with her post-evaluative?
Okay, so I mean, I feel like just generally speaking, like as a first year teacher, I feel like, we always get like, oh, hey, like we're a little hard on ourselves, like, oh, hey, did we do well? Did we not do so well? But overall, I always try to just act when I'm teaching something, I always try to teach it, the best I can. So one thing that I really was focusing on in this for this specific lesson was classroom management and engagement. So I felt like if admin, when they walked in, if they seen the students not just behaving but also engaged, I felt like that's just a plus, because that means the structure's there and the guided instruction is there. Because my worst fear, not just as a first year teacher but just as a teacher, is just when the classroom is either not working or not coming together, when admin's there. So it is a little frightening at first, but after the lessons actually going on, then we eased into it. A couple of comments that I did receive from admin, some helpful and some maybe not as applicable that I can use, but we'll start off with the helpful ones first. The first ones were she mentioned that the engagement and the classroom management was pretty well. Another thing that she mentioned was that she liked how the students just were front loaded about their expectations. So I told them the standards that were
Kids needed to be able to experience some variety.
Yes. Yes.
Between the different stations that you had organized. So what have you done to kind of bring some of that variety, and also to sort of tweak it just a bit so that the kids who need more challenge are getting that greater challenge? I know there's one student you have in your class who's quite a good reader, right?
Yeah.
So
Great
where
reader.
does she fit into this whole process?
Okay. Yeah, so that's a great that's a great way to put it. Yeah, so for this whole process, that's where I've been, me as a first year teacher, I've been trying to figure out like what works best and suits best for her, because a lot of the times, as you mentioned, she reads pretty high, so the majority of the work, it's either she knows how to do it or she already has enough prior knowledge on it where she gets it done before everybody else. So what I try to do is either we go into further depth about it, or I explain to her like, hey, how can you, so say for example, if we're writing something and everybody's writing an essay, then I'll tell what I would tell her, where either I'll give her a certain word bank of words to use, or I'll just it's, and also too, I feel like I wasn't doing her justice, because at first I was just giving that student more work, and I'm like, this is not benefiting them, because the work's not necessarily challenging them, it's just giving them more work.
Right.
And another thing also that Mrs. Vossler wanted to see from my observation was she wanted the students to actually be more engaging. And like I said, me as a first year teacher, I was like focusing more on like, oh, classroom management, engagement. So I was kind of shying away from the talking. That might be more of like a first year teacher problem, but she wants the students like more engaging, like partner talk says this, partner A says this, partner B says that. So one way that I can further explain it is I can put her in a group where she can kind of be like a lead, and she can kind of be like the lead by example, where she's in charge, and not only is she assisting other students, but they can see her as an example, and then they can just move on and switch stations. So I feel like I can use her to not only assist the students that are there, but to also just have an example, just lead by example, because one thing is she is a leader.
Okay, so have you explored having mixed groups rather than leveled groups?
Yeah, so that's exactly where I was going to go to. I'm actually planning to try mixed groups, because I felt like just having them in their same level doesn't, yes, it does, we get to focus on certain weaknesses or maybe things that they need to work on, but it doesn't give them the ability to work with new partners and also to collaborate. so, you know, amongst other students who either may have a more further understanding, because sometimes they come up to me and tell me, oh, well, Mr. Perez, I didn't understand it when you said it like this, but when so-and-so explained to me during the partner talk, then I really understand it and I got more of a grasp from it. I was like, oh, hey, that's a good way to see it.
You know, it's really strange. They learn better from each other than they learn from us.
Right? Hey, and I started to read, and now I started
If
to
you put them
realize
together
it.
and you start having to explain it to each other,
Yeah. No,
and you just think, why was I talking?
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you had a chance to do that? Have you
Yeah,
finding it's working?
so I'm actually started slowly implementing it, but yeah, it is actually working, because it's to the point where they almost work as a team rather than individually, where I noticed where I did it by level, it would almost be like they just focused more on themselves and they worried more about themselves rather than collaborating and communicating as a group.
Well, good. So it sounds like you're getting some good conversations out of your kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good. Okay. So when this sets you up and you had some advice from your admin, and you looks like you've been able to apply some of that, how do you feel about your next evaluation coming up?
Okay, yeah, great question. So
Right.
that's the thing about me. I'm a bit of an overthinker, but I always try to think on the bright side, and that's one thing I also told admin was I appreciate any feedback, and I'm always willing to apply and, like, you know, change the way I teach, you know, if it's for the better of the students. So I'm basically trying to implement more partner work and, you know, levels of the groupings, just so not only I feel like I can, you know, learn and see what benefits them, but it also tells me, oh, this student still needs to work on this, or this student needs to work on that. Because we're usually, when they're all in the same level, it's like they understand it just enough to get by.
Yeah.
But when I have them in separate levels like that, they really stand out like a sore thumb. Oh, hey, you need more further assistance on here. You need a little bit more assistance on here, or you completely get this. You don't belong here. You gotta be moved somewhere else.
Well, that sounds like your evaluation process has really been a learning experience for you, and it's really helped you to improve not only the way you view the way you're helping your students, but it's also actually helped you in your practice, and you're not afraid of the evaluation process, and I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
good. You're looking at it more as instructive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Perfect.
Very good. Thank you for
All right.
doing this with me
Yeah.
today.
No. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Niven. I
Okay.
appreciate you.
All right. Thank
All right.
you.